Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a pretty high-stakes reality for storage administrators everywhere, the Ceph 19.2.6 upgrade. Now look, if you manage a large-scale storage environment, you probably feel like updates are just, routine maintenance at this point. But I'm here to tell you right now that this specific Squid hotfix is literally anything but routine. We're going to break down exactly what you need to know, what you need to check, and how to execute this before you even think about hitting that download button. So let's get into it. There's a quote straight from our source material that really just hits the nail on the head here. It says, "I would not treat a large cluster like a laptop that can be patched first and investigated later." Honestly, that is the foundation for this entire explainer. Enterprise storage requires meticulous preparation. When you've got petabytes of data, live virtual machines, and countless clients relying on your cluster, rushing a patch is just a massive recipe for disaster. We need a real strategy. So here is our flight plan for today. We'll start with the urgent threat, move into the internal pull trap, discuss CephX keys and clients, walk through our pre-flight checklist, and finally wrap up with a safe execution strategy. All right, Section 1, the urgent threat. Why is the Ceph project practically demanding that operators upgrade right this second? Well, the answer comes down to exactly 4 critical security vulnerabilities, or CVEs. And we're not talking about minor edge case bugs here. These vulnerabilities span across core authentication protocols, the Rados gateway, and even fundamental monitor behavior. Leaving your cluster unpatched means leaving it wide open to these known threats. So just kicking the can down the road indefinitely, it's really not an option this time. But here is where things actually get pretty complicated. To remediate one of those major vulnerabilities, specifically CVE 2025-3156, the developers had to introduce something entirely new. It's called AES 256K. This is a brand new CephX key type. So the absolute most crucial thing to understand is that introducing this key type completely changes the nature of your maintenance window. You aren't just swapping out a package or pulling a new container image anymore. You're embarking on a very complex credential rotation process, and that requires a whole lot more care. Which brings us to Section 2, the internal pool track. We really need to talk about the .Monger pool. It's a reserved internal pool in Ceph. And because it starts with a dot, and because it doesn't hold your everyday user data or block devices, admins actually overlook it all the time. It's just a tiny pool for manager modules to store persistent state, right? Well, the community is explicitly warning operators of large clusters to check the placement group count on this specific internal pool before you even start the upgrade. You absolutely cannot casually modify or delete this just because it looks unfamiliar to you. So why does it matter? Placement groups, or PGs, are what map your objects onto your storage daemons. If your .mgr pool has too few PGs, you get really poor data distribution. But if it has too many, you're going to suffer from massive memory and peering overhead. Now I know what you might be thinking. Doesn't the autoscaler just handle this for me? Yes, modern Ceph has an autoscaler, for sure. But historical internal pools can survive multiple generations of upgrades. That means they might be harboring dangerous legacy configuration exceptions left behind an admin who quit 3 years ago. If your .mgr pool has an absurdly high PG count left over from way back when, upgrading to 19.2.6 could suddenly cause intense cluster crashing memory spikes across your managers. You have to check it first. Let's move to Section 3, CephX keys and clients. Compatibility is everything here. We need to draw a bright red line between 2 very different operations: upgrading your daemon software versus rotating every single credential. Our source material strongly advises treating these as 2 completely separate steps in your runbook. If you update your daemons and then immediately force a rotation of all credentials to that new key type we talked about, you're going to lock out any incompatible clients. Your cluster will be perfectly secure, sure, but your users literally won't be able to access their data. And just to highlight how real this client compatibility issue actually is, kernel client support for the new AES 256K key type only begins upstream in Linux kernel 7.0. Some distributions are going to have backports, obviously, but if you've got older hypervisors, legacy containers, or some aging backup appliances connecting to Ceph, they might flat out reject the new key. This is exactly why you have to verify that all of your clients understand the new key type before you rotate a single credential. All right, Section 4, the pre-flight checklist. Because of everything we've just covered, you need a rock-solid plan before touching a single node. So let's walk through these 10 vital steps. First, confirm all daemons are actually up.
Second, make sure your PG states are active and clean. Third, record your current Ceph versions. Fourth, explicitly record your pool details and pay special attention to that .mgr pool. Fifth, review your autoscale status. Sixth, check your free capacity. Please do not upgrade a completely full cluster. Seventh, thoroughly review the official key rotation procedure. Eighth, take a full inventory of your kernel and RBD clients. Ninth, if you happen to use RGW multisite, check those SIG4 release notes. And 10th, back up your critical configs. And hey, here's a massive pro tip from our source. Actually run the commands to get this data and save the text outputs right into your maintenance ticket. When something unexpectedly goes sideways on node 3 at 2 a.m., telling your boss, "I think it looked fine before we started," is not going to save you. Text captures are undeniable evidence of exactly what your cluster's starting state was.
Finally, Section 5, Safe Execution Strategy. You've got your text files saved. Now, how do we actually roll this out in the real world? This part is absolutely critical for operators who are running Ceph underneath Proxmox. You might be feeling the pressure right now to also upgrade to Proxmox VE9, but whatever you do, do not stack these major changes into a single dangerous maintenance window. You have to stage things sequentially. Step 1, complete the Ceph upgrade. Step 2, validate your client health and compatibility. Only after that is 100% confirmed do you move to Step 3, your major Proxmox version change. Keep those failure domains completely separate. So think about pacing yourself with a phased timeline, something like this. Hour 1, capture your state and really investigate those .mgr PGs. Hour 2, stage the upgrade on a testing or least risky environment if you can. Hour 3, patch your production cluster in controlled methodical waves, node by node. And Hour 4, once the cluster is stable, rotate credentials only with verified clients. The security urgency of these 4 CVEs should definitely speed up your timeline. Yes, but pacing the execution logically ensures you don't make a careless mistake. So I'm going to leave you with this. Log in and look at your cluster dashboard right now. Is your cluster state truly active and clean? Because if you cannot answer that with a definitive, evidence-backed yes, you are simply not ready to download this patch. What kind of hidden tech debt might this upgrade uncover in your specific environment? Do your checks, respect those internal pools, and please don't become a cautionary tale. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer.